Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Renewed Minds Podcast KE. As usual, I'm your host Emmy Oware, and I'm so happy to be here to bring you another solo episode. Today we will be doing something different. We call it a breather from all the usual topics that we bring to you guys. We will do an edition that I want to call Know Your Host. And my team and I came up with questions. Some came from you guys that I will answer. They are a bit fun and a bit light, so I'll be answering them. But before we get to that, I love to respond to your feedback because, as usual, your feedback means a lot to us as a team, and that is what helps us to become better on this podcast. I will discuss the episode that I did with Steve today. I want to go through some of your feedback that you gave. I loved the ones you gave, but one that caught my mind so much that I want to expound on a bit is one that said maybe the bigger value actually is that the audience have a head start on how not to handle orphans were they to find themselves in a situation, God forbid. Then the most important thing is that people actually take accountability, the people who are taking care of orphans. So that part actually it summarizes what the episode was about. If you've watched Steven's story, actually it's about what he went through as a child, and now he's intentionally healing and actually working to mend relationships with the people who um, didn't take care of him the way he was supposed to be taken care of. So, actually, the summary of the whole episode is that people should know how to handle orphans, especially family members, because that is a theme that is recurring that relatives actually do not know. Most of them do not know how to deal with orphans when you find yourself with an orphan. So even part of why we share these stories on this platform is to sensitize guardians so that maybe you are doing something and in your mind it's not wrong, but in a way or another it affects the orphan. So it would be good if we do some introspection as a guardian, as somebody who lives with an orphan, so that you see whether you're handling them properly. And at the end of the day, it would be nice once orphans share their stories, or if you've introspected and seen that maybe in one way or another you mishandled an orphan, it would be good if we have accountability. People just coming out to say that here we failed, but we had no idea, or it was a learning curve for us as well. So we are sorry, or we would wish to do better in future. Actually, part of why we share stories here is that so that our generation do better. If you can see, most people that I'll be bringing here are majorly in my age gap. So if there's a disparity in generations, if one generation handled us wrongly, the goal is for the next generation to do better so that we break certain patterns that will cause trauma in our society. So I love that comment so much. Thank you so much so far for engaging with our content. I'm very grateful. If you're here watching for the first time, don't forget to subscribe so that you get the notification every time I upload an episode. Also, yesterday I was sharing with a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, and she was sharing with me that as someone who is not an orphan, she would really love to support me. Actually, she's one of my biggest fans on this podcast. But being someone who has not yet been orphaned, sometimes it's harder for her watching it. It makes her more emotional, and she doesn't know how to deal with the emotions as she watches, because now there's also that injection of fear, because now anticipating probably if her parents die, and she is also a parent, so she keeps imagining what life could be if she ever dies for her child. We discussed other things that are helpful for the podcast, and maybe in future we will incorporate them. But one thing that made me bring it up at this moment is that I want to share that I realize the burden of the podcast itself. It leans more towards the sad side. And I would really love us to get to a point where we can balance the sad content and maybe something lighter. So my team and I are discussing on the way forward. We will be informing you as we go, and maybe that this segment that you're doing today, this edition that you're doing today, will be a start of many others. So for today, we are doing something a bit light. We hope you will enjoy, and we are working on it. But please keep engaging with our content. My goal, as I started this podcast, is to create a community for orphans. I want orphans to come here, engage with the content, and feel like they are seen and they are heard and their issues are discussed. So it's something that we'll keep doing, but on the way, for the sake of other viewers who are not necessarily orphans, we will incorporate lighter things. So stay with us. Your feedback matter to us. Never stop giving us the feedback. That is what helps us grow. And yeah, you're loved here, you're seen here, you're welcome here. So we'll move on to the episode for today. Uh, my team will ask the questions and I am here to answer. So I think we will name the edition Know Your Hosts. So they'll ask me questions and I will answer. Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
So, the first question,
Mm-hmm.
what is something people are usually surprised to learn about you?
What is something that people are usually surprised to learn about me?
Yeah.
That I'm not bougie. People people mistake me for being bush. Okay, yes, people assume that I'm very expensive and I love expensive things. It is not a lie because only money will make the difference when I cut the kind of money I want. But I feel like when they get to know me, they realize I'm not as bougie as it seems. So that is, I feel like that is something that surprises people because I'm not okay. It will seem like I'm defending myself, but I'm I'm not that push.
If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
And why? So dead. I would have dinner with my the people who engage with my podcast know him as Uncle Sam. And this bit I haven't shared. I owe you guys an episode. But when Uncle Sam was dying, I feel like during his sickness, it was during COVID, so I didn't see him for a long time. So even during the time he was sick, I never got to even visit him when he was sick. Actually, he died and I didn't see him. And I had just made a prayer because he died around January and I was just getting a job. So one of my prayers that year was that God helps me now that I have a job that is paying me. I was hoping to, mend our relationship because we weren't close friendship wise. He was my dad, but I was planning that, we can now become closer and talk about intimate things of life, which I never got to do. And the fact that I never saw him while he was sick, I think when he died, those are thoughts that I struggled with. Like, what did he think during his last days about me before he died? Because I would have dinner with him. Is it dinner or lunch? Dinner. Yes, I would have dinner with him and remind him that I love him, that I was thinking of him, even though that period was hard for him and we weren't close. I would talk to him and to tell him thank you again and again because it's not many people who just take other people's kids and do the best work with them. So I'd still say thank you. Yes. The second person will be His name is Stephen Bartlett. Um, he's the host for the DOAC podcast, Diary of a CEO. I admire his work. I feel like in another world we will be friends because he shares thoughts. You know, the way someone shares thoughts exactly the way you think them, but you know, he's smarter, so there's a way he puts them. So I would have dinner with him so that he also gives me points on how to grow my podcast. Those are two people that I would have dinner with. He's alive. Um, I think I'll just keep it to two. I don't know the third person I would like to have dinner with.
Next question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice? Oh, this is yesterday. Um, the advice was do not be afraid to have a little bit of white man audacity. Like have a little bit of white man audacity. White man audacity, I guess if I explain it, or let me say it the way I understood, just being audacious about the little things. Like, because the conference that I attended was for entrepreneurs, so it was specifically for women. So basically, we were being encouraged not to be afraid. If you need something, ask for it. The worst that people can say is no. So just have the audacity to go for the little things that you want. Kick out vituka, imposter syndrome. Don't have those. Just have audacity. You know, the way white men are always assured that this is your territory, like they always feel like they belong. So even as a woman, as a black person, have white man audacity. So yeah.
Ooh.
Mm.
Mm, if you could live anywhere in the world for a year, where would it be?
Actually, it's not far away. Let's keep it in Kenya. I would live in Kilifi for a year. I have lived in the coast region. I love the coast. If I get the chance, I will go back. But right now, I'm limiting it to Kilifi. If I would live anywhere in the world for a year right now, I'd go to Kilifi. I love the beach in Kilifi. I'm a beach person, so yes, I love Kilifi.
Wonderful to have a local tourist.
Yes.
Okay, what's your dream job? What was your dream job? Sorry, what was your dream job as a kid, and how close did you get to achieving it?
This is a funny one. But I will tell the story here. I don't think I said it in my introductory episode. As a child, I was not an ambitious child. I was always absent-minded and I lived in my own bubble. So you remember that question when people, I don't know if teachers still ask kids what they want to be when they grow up. So when the question was being asked, personally, I never said it out loud because it was wrong. Okay, I knew it was wrong for me to say it, but Mimi, my dream as I grew up, I just wanted to be a beautiful woman who wears makeup and puts on high heels. I just wanted to be a beautiful woman. Period. Okay, as I grew up, I knew, okay, maybe I wanted to be a model. I just didn't know how to say that. But I just wanted to be beautiful and wear high heels. Funny enough, I'm grown and I don't know how I feel about I prefer sneakers to high heels, but yes, I thank God I'm beautiful. So I'm living my dream, guys. Yes. Eventually, I started there's a point in high school I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. But I don't know if it was something I wanted or it just seemed fancy to want it. I don't know if that was my dream. For sure. Because even when I finished high school, I tried applying for law, but it didn't come. I ended up in journalism, which I totally enjoyed, by the way. So, but I don't know. I can't say if it is something I really wanted. But right now, what I really want is to create impact wherever that place will be. And I'm hoping it's this podcast. So I'm really hoping because now this is one thing I've actually wanted to work. I really want it to work. So yeah, I guess this is my dream for now.
Somebody wanted to know if you could instantly master any talent or skill, what would it be?
I don't know if it is a skill. But I would want to, those people who are good with multiplying money, like they're street smart, wanajuanga, like they know where the money is. I would want that skill, not just like the knowledge. Like I would want to gain the skill where, like, if I apply it, it actually works. So it has to do with the money.
And there's a two-part question.
Okay.
I'd say, what it sounds like a two-part question.
Okay.
So, what's one book, podcast, or a movie that has impacted your life recently, and also a book that you think everyone should read, if there's any?
A book that has impacted my life and I think people should read is called Integrity. I read it this year. Yes, beginning of this year. It's called Integrity by Dr. Henry Cloud. It's majorly for business people, but generally it has application about life. Like it talks about integrity. When people talk about integrity, we think it starts and ends with corruption. But no, integrity has to do with the little things, how you move as a human being, how even like your childhood affects who you are. So even your childhood affects your integrity. Like it's a book that makes you look inside. Yes, so I would propose Integrity. A podcast that is changing my life right now, The Diary of the CEO. I'm like, would I say obsessed with it? Yes. There are different topics. You learn a lot. So I learn a lot from it. I can't pinpoint a particular thing, but it talks about different aspects of life. A movie I can't say. I watch movies for entertainment, so I don't really stop to think about how it affects my life. Yes.
What's something you believe in
Uh-huh.
that most people disagree with? Ooh.
Hey,
You can
what is,
say it. You can say it out loud, but people
do not.
every time you say it.
Okay, I'll say two. There are many ways to do this. Okay, I think there's somebody else who believes in it because when I say as I was saying it, I know that somebody else believes in it. Okay, fine. Let me start with the one that I feel. People talk about truth and honesty. Like if you go, most people's core values are honesty and truth. But let me tell you, if we start applying honesty as it is, at the end of the day, you realize that people are not as open to honesty and truth the way we say it. It's a lot uncomfortable, and most people are not ready. In fact, if you are an honest and truthful person, truth is maybe you don't even have many friends because not everybody is ready to face the truth the way we think. So, yeah, but I believe in it. Uh,
Say you are leaving the house.
yes.
What's that one thing you can't leave the house without?
The one thing I can't leave the house without,
Yes.
my earphones and phone. I'm always listening to music or something I downloaded on my phone. So if I leave, I'm never leaving my house without a earphone and my phone.
What would you tell your younger self?
My younger self, there's no estimation of the age, just younger.
Oh yes.
Um, things will work out. That's what I'd tell my younger self. I think when I was younger, I was a bit anxious. Yes, I remember even in campus, I was really an anxious child. I don't know why. Yeah, but things worked out, and I love who I am right now. So things will work out.
We are heading towards the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
What's one item you've bought that you feel like this one is your favorite item this year?
This is going to be a funny one, but a pair of mom jeans. I've really wanted to own. Guys, I haven't bought clothes for myself in a while, so usually I've bought a pair of mom jeans. I'm so proud of myself. I felt so good wearing them. So yes, yes.
Mm, another year ending question. What have you completed this year in your bucket list?
Oh, starting this podcast. For sure, starting this podcast. It was an idea for a while, but just starting. I feel tempted to like share further, but starting the podcast, yes. Because now, apart from it being an idea, it's something I wanted to do something purposeful this year. I remember in my prayers for the year was that I get to do something purposeful. I wanted to align with purpose because I felt like besides the work that I do in corporate, I wanted to do something meaningful that I enjoy waking up to. And I feel like this podcast is one of it. So just starting it, even though I don't like have all the resources yet. Yeah, I'm proud of myself for starting.
So far, would you rather have a pause button or rewind button on your life?
A pause button. A pause button so that a pause would mean things are not moving for a while. Yeah, like things pause.
Please stop, please stop, please
Yeah.
stop. It's mommy ushuke.
Instead of rewinding. Definitely not the rewind button, so I'll choose the pause button. If there was the option of going to the future, I would go to the future. But because it's pause and rewind, I'd pause.
You'd rather pause.
Yes.
So coming to the studio today, what were you listening to?
Oh, on the way here?
Yeah.
Apart from music that I listen to a lot, I was listening to a podcast. Should I share what the content of the podcast was? Yeah. The podcast was called We Need to Talk. I think it shares about relationships. So I know, guys. I know. I'm a lover girl. So I was just listening to how the title of the podcast was how hey, you'll judge me. Let me not just say. But the podcast was called We Need to Talk. Yes.
What's a quote or a verse you live by?
A quote or a verse I live by. I'll say a verse. Quotes, hey, I can't get enough of the quotes, but a verse that I truly, truly live by. And I quote it a lot. If you're my friend, you know. All things work together for good. All things work together for good. The Bible quotes it differently. Should I read it? It's Romans 8. It's Romans 8:20. So that I do not paraphrase the Bible so much. 8:28. And we know that in all things, God. Sorry, guys. The New King James Version says, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. So, as a believer, I really believe that all things work together for good. I live by it because, for me, I interpret it as whether they are good things or bad things, all of it works together for good. I entertain that thought. So even if I'm going through hard, like the way this year has shown me character development, all of that is working together for my good. Yes.
All right. A wise director once said, okay, seriously. A wise woman once said, it's a question for someone.
A wise woman once said, I don't want to say one where you will judge me where I am at. So I'm trying to change so that I don't want you guys judging me. I'm a good person who is not bitter. But I wanted to say the one by Maya Angelou where when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I think I'm compelled to share it because this year has really shown me character development.
What's your spiritual practice?
My spiritual practice, listening to gospel music every morning. Okay, I try every morning, and I watch a lot of sermons. So I'd say those are the two that I'm consistent with, and praying. Yeah.
The last question sounded like a poem.
The last question.
The person who wanted to know this. Mountains or oceans? Sneakers or heels? music or movies, books or podcasts?
Mountains or oceans? Oceans.
Mhm.
And the next one is
Sneakers or heels?
sneakers any day.
But you just told us you wanted to be beautiful and on heels.
Yes, but
Stilettos and such.
now that I am beautiful and grown, I prefer sneakers. Dreams change, I guess.
A girl just wants to be comfortable.
Yeah.
All right. Music or movies?
Music.
Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
Why?
Because I would rather listen. I feel like, okay. But podcast still. Why?
You don't want a lot of work.
But guys, reading needs discipline. I read as a form of discipline. I read books as a form. Okay, you gain a lot from books, but I will not say it with my chest that I love reading. I would rather listen to a podcast. So yeah, because I feel like podcasts summarize the knowledge for you in a package in a way that that is why I started the podcast, guys, so that you summarize life's knowledge. But I read books for my vocabulary.
That would be all.
That's it for today.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did I do as a team? Do you feel like I answered the questions effectively?
Yeah.
Should we add some bonus? Is there a question you can ask me as the director of the... I know it's an ambush of the podcast.
You won't ask you any questions.
You have no questions for
Fuck
me.
off.
But thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for the love and support. When I started the podcast, I think one of my fears was if I would be relatable, given the niche that we chose. But there have been affirmations here and there, and mostly it's from you guys encouraging me and, seeing the value of what we are trying to do. With time, it will take shape. I feel like it has not yet because we are figuring things out based on the feedback that you're giving us. And I'm so grateful. So never stop giving us feedback. You may think that your feedback is not valuable or it will come out harsh, but this is what creates us. I only share things because I feel like it will impact you guys. So just tell me what you want to hear more of, and my team and I will be on it. So thank you so much for stopping by. Do not forget to share our content and subscribe, guys. Subscribe. Thank you.